You cannot preach to people. You cannot look. My mentor will always say you do not have monopoly of everything against the government of the day. Violence, you don't have that monopoly. Money, you don't have that monopoly. So what do? You play smart. In this case, you cannot empower whole Nigeria. How do you even do it when you are not in power, when you don't shape policies and all of these things? So before you talk of, you know, removing hunger, what you must do is have a government in place that listens to you and is ready with the will to do, because this thing is not rocket science. Chima, I will come back to you. Let's quickly move on to sound mind. And then, if not, compromise is still there. Then we'll come back.
Yes, Jagu Jagu, my man. Thank you very much, bro. Let me quickly talk my mind before non-conformists go wake up. Anyway, so you see, what I want to say is this. Look, bro, you see this country, we as a citizens, but I think we are just a people that we keep looking for where to will I say beckon our hope or beckon our problems so as to exonerate ourselves from our responsibilities as a people. I don't know if you understand this logic, because I see no reason why politicians are playing their politics, which is what is supposed to be. For the past 2 months, we as a people, we are bent on focusing on the coalitions of politicians, the games they are playing, all the politicking that they are doing. That is what we are after, while allowing these divisive tools that is the end product of the politicking that is coming from the elite, from these politicians. We keep allowing it to continue dividing us as a people and distracting our main attentions from the actual focus that we need to place our focus on, which is the coalitions of the people, coming together of the people, the resolution of or the awakening of Nigerians to know that, look, 2027 is a time where we all need to gather and forces together to decide our fate. We are not doing it. But 2 months now, we've been hosting, we've been talking about how P2B wants to coalesce with Atiku, how it's better for Atiku to be the flag bearer and all that. And in all doing this thing, we've all totally forgotten that there was a P2B and Atiku 2019. We have such coalition. We have all those things. Even these people that are trying to come together now as politicians, right? There are a time where they were all together. And we have a situation here where we have a government, a president like Tinubu, who even without being an incumbent power or possibly with the head of incumbent power, we saw how he emerged as a winner, even with the overwhelming vote that P2B got. We saw what played out. Now, let me tell us, to my own personal understanding and my own wish, I believe it is better for us as a people to liaise with each other as a people. We need to come together and form a formidable force of the people's power. That is the only thing that I think that can give us result with the kind of Tinubu that we have up there, right? Now, we don't even have time. We have barely 2 years to make this thing happen. How can we get down to grassroots, make Nigerians, these people that we believe that lack this information, how do we get them to understand that, look, 2027 is just do or die. It's either we get it or, in fact, we quench the whole thing. Like, we get this country pause first. Let it stand still. Let us understand what we are even doing with the politicians as a people. How are we going to achieve this thing? I think that is what we should pay attention and focus on, instead of every day we keep, in fact, we are even dividing ourselves, because we believe or think that P2B is trying to coalesce with Aerofy. That one alone has already bring divisiveness. We've already divided ourselves with that, and we think that we can just give or leave our faith, the fate of 200 million people. We want to leave it to the hands of few politicians that want to coalesce together. I don't understand where that thing happens. But what I feel that is need to happen is that we as a people, we need to figure out a way where we can get Nigerians involved together with this same ideology of how can we save ourselves from this current menace that is happening to us. It is not just about we are hungry, but in the midst of that hunger, are we taking the right decisions? Are we asking the right questions? Or do we want to repeat 2023 again? By every day we keep gathering together, we talk about coalition, we go back to our bed, assemble back the next day. Is that what we want to continue doing till 2027? Because for now, I don't know. And if you are obedient, or maybe you are a well-meaning Nigerian, you really want good for Nigerians or for this country, and up till now, you cannot boost or boast that you are capable to pull out, even if it is the minimum of 5% behind you from your little corner where you are, that you can pull out. If they call you now, or yeah, come out with people that you know that they believe on your ideology, as somebody that you think that you have this right information, you've been coming, you know all this information. Are we taking it down to grassroots as a people? What impact is this information that we keep carrying every day or from this app? What impact are we making it to have in the grassroots? If they point to you now as a person, can you bring out five other Nigerians behind you to stand that, okay, this is where we want our vote to go, so that it will benefit our collective needs or what we want? What is it that we are doing as people? Is it that we just want to continue coming, we give our submission, we give our idea? They are all pretty good. But how are we taking these things down? What impact is it making down? Jagu Jagu, you and I know, we they pull out 247. What is it that all of us that we normally assemble on Twitter spaces, each and every one of us, what is that workings that we are even doing down to our little corners as people that really want this change? Now, I see how the narrative, the rhetoric that is going now is just showing that Nigerians just want to leverage all their responsibilities to the little number of politicians that are trying to coalesce together. These are political games that they are. Is it that as a people we cannot allow these politicians play their own role as politicians? We have left what we are to do as citizens, the part that we need to play as citizens in this political realm. We want to wait and see what the coalition of our own politicians want to give us. Man, I don't think we are ready or we are serious in what we actually want. Or is it that we've not yet redefined what we actually want as a people? Because nobody is making effort of the people's coalition. How far are we trying to take the little time that is remaining to gather like minds towards what we want to achieve on 2027? What is it that we are actually doing? Because me, I can't continue talking about coalition when the people are bent on bigotry, or bent on dividing themselves.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jago. But let us know what we are doing as a people.
Yeah,
That's my own.
yeah. Just
Non-conforming,
hang in.
you can come after me now. Thank you very much.
Just hang in there, sound mind. There is nothing that you have said that is out of proportion. I swear to God. But sound mind, yeah, we do always pull out. We do always engage, and we are those who belong to the class that talk is golden and talk is not cheap. But at the same time, we believe in the doctrine of boots on ground. So, having said that, friend mine, um, see, the reason why I came up with this topic was actually what is eating you up. That we are so much concentrated on the coalition and we are speculating and projecting the permutations and outcomes of politicians. Meanwhile, we are leaving the responsibility that is our own, which is the coalition of the people. I am happy that Greatest is on this space today. Back in the days, he's one of my friends that always say, let us go after the low hanging fruits. He's always fond of saying that. We go after the low hanging fruit. INEC, the judiciary. Let's seek for reforms from them. We were one of those who started to, campaign and reason in the line of electoral reforms in a way that we shape our demands that so much that anytime they default, it will be us putting them to the sword, even if we choose to take our sovereignty into our own hands. We started that. And I'm happy that today there is Peter Aka, who is in Abuja and is moving seriously with that proposal. But it must be backed. But here is the thing, the gimmick. The politicians know that we are Nigerians and we are typified by sensationalism. We burn so fast like banga. We can respond, but we don't have finisher. So they bank on that for you to respond and then they bring all the narratives, alternative narratives, and then off we are gone. We don't finish up. So as much as the electoral reform is important, yeah, you and I, as sound mind, is confirming it. You and I have responsibility to play as a people coalition. I remember a space we had that time, that was it 2 years ago or last year, that look, would you rather go for a people coalition or a political coalition? We didn't even think in our widest dream that this would happen today. All of them in coalition. His greatest is on speaker section, he would confirm it. The obedient people can confirm it. It is on speaker section. So here is my thing. Thank you very much for bringing that up. We'll go to Jara now, but people, you and I, let's go beyond, like my mentor will always say, I'm fond of quoting. Let's go beyond speaking don't go to Rechi and put action. Let's put ourselves into work. Jara, over to you.
Yeah, I just want to respond briefly to what the last speaker said. Um, we're not focused on the coalition. We're not. We're focused on the biggest elephant in the room, which is INEC. If we recall what the court based their decision on, if we carefully study their argument, we will know that the biggest elephant in the room is INEC. You see, INEC allowed, or the law gathering the last election allowed for the judge to put the interpretation. So the judge, one of the reason they gave was that, well, INEC guideline is just INEC, the electoral law, or the INEC guideline is just a guideline which they can change in the middle of the game. That's what the court said. Oh, INEC can change the rule in the middle of the game. Now, we need a law that says INEC cannot. Whatever guideline they put out is a law. It's not just a guideline. So, in effect, we need to attack the laws governing the electoral process as it is. Now, you see, the politicians, all these political elites that are now gathering together, forming coalition and all of that, they know how Bola Tinubu won 2023 election. They know. Somebody here like Erufai know waiting up. Yet is coming out to say we can't defeat this guy. Okay. Now I don't like it, but I want to draw from his inspiration because he knows what went down. Yeah, he knows what went down. Therefore, we can have the confidence that yes, you know what, if we get things right, this guy can actually be defeated. And that is the strength I want all of us to have. That is the positivity I want all of us to have. I have my fears. Non-conformists spoke my fear, and I that's my fear. But then again, we need to have that positive attitude and say, look, our demands will form the legitimacy we're going to build our action on in 2027. No, if we don't make those demands now, we don't have legitimacy because they'll be like, it's not the same rule. The court told you it's just a guideline in 2023. What did you do about it? Therefore, we're changing the. INEC can literally change the rule on the day to election. That is what we have at the moment. That is what we have at the moment. So if I like say, oh, you use BVAS authenticator, we then do this, we then we from E38A, then we transfer to E38B. The current law we have says that INEC can say there is E39F, therefore you didn't fill it. And it will be valid. And there's nothing any of us can do about it. That is the law we have now. That is the electoral law as defined by Supreme Court that we have now. And therefore, that's what we need to go to NAS to go and change. Now, if they don't change it, we are saying that you've already skewed the results of that election. Therefore, you do not have the mandate of the people to form a government. Because you need the mandate of the people to form a democratic government. Now, if you have not skewed it to exclude that mandate, that you're going to form a government without the mandate, you're already forming an illegal government. Therefore, people can then rise against you because democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Now the people can then say, no, you do not represent us. Out you get. Okay? That is what we need to do. So we need to be strategic, bearing in mind that we are fighting a monster who does not care about the welfare of the people and who's going to retire and retain himself in power. So we need to say, we're waiting for you.
Yeah, can I say
Yeah, go on.
something? Thank you. Yeah, talking about the electoral reform. Yes, I agree the fact that there are some things that we've learned on this 2023 from the electoral reform that I think needed to be adjusted. But let us not forget that in 2022, INEC convinced the whole world, like even we in Nigeria. In fact, that was the major reason why many Nigerians get involved from both diasporas and here. Initially, in Nigerian election, we normally play ball in the street of Lagos here. You understand? But INEC gave us a reform that resonates with so many people. And that reform was okay until we now have a judiciary that cannot interpret and a judiciary that looked at pious prayers, all the prayers, and overlooked it and ruled what they ruled. That was just the only problem that reform has. But look at the good of a thing here. INEC has already done. Yes, you said what?
Sorry. Let me drive it this way again. Maybe you would get the sound bite. Whatever Jara is saying, and whatever we have said on this space thus far, and whatever you have said and still saying right now are all in tandem. You see, you must be able to that that rule and guidelines of that INEC rules and guidelines that you spoke about, electoral rules and guidelines that you spoke about, they were flawed with lacunas, as the constitution will call it. I mean, the legal people will call it. And those lacunas, we saw them exploited during the legal sections, technicality, right and left. But here is the bite that I want you to catch, but that I will not read like ABC to you, is that you and I as a people, that have said it, I said it, some people have said it, not confirming that I've said it, you and I, and you also, you even said it literally, that you and I need a coalition that is of us, not of the politicians. Let them play their politics, for a coalition that is of you and I, and that follow through with these electoral reforms that we are demanding for, bound to the coalition center, with the decision that whatever you bring as whatever non-state and state actors that you bring against the people, we will stand. And the only thing that gives that confidence to you and I is what Fred Altmington always rely upon and will always fondly say: I am always high on the people, and I will go high on the people. See, when there are people outside, when you and I have our booth outside and the number is appreciated enough, appreciated enough, it becomes very, very, very almost impossible for them to recreate narrative and to write scripts. That is what
okay.
Okay. So
okay, Jago. Okay, let me finish up. Maybe you will understand me. See, you see all this process that we are going now, we can cut it short. We, the citizens, we can cut all those process short. The good of a thing is INEC has already adopted digital voting system. That is where the highest favor they've done to Nigerians.
See.
I don't know.
I beg, make a cut. Yeah? No,
let me finish.
No, you go finish. What I want to tell you is whatever INEC adopt and told you that they were going to do, the Supreme Court said they can't change it and it's not valid. Bear that in mind.
Baba, allow me make I finish now. Kilo day. Allow me make I finish. So me, I feel no they talk like this again on spaces. But what I mean is this. Yeah. Can you? Yeah. What I mean is this. As long as INEC have adopted digital voting system, all of us saw what Alex did with JAMB. We saw how Alex intervened and gave them solution. We all witness it here. We Nigerians, we can by ourselves build a well-sophisticated digital voting system that INEC can adopt. In fact, that we can force INEC to adopt. That can guide and protect our vote. It's just a click. If you log in your app, you go to the party you want to vote. You click and your vote counts. This thing we can do and present. Okay, now wait. We are talking of electoral reform. What is it that we are presenting to INEC as a people? Had it been we bring a better solution to what INEC have, we bring a better digital voting system that INEC can look at the prototype and see that, yes, this one is more visible.
Hang in there. Just hold on. Let's revert back to this, your conversation. I get your point, but you're not getting mine. But I get you. So,
Jago. I beg, make I use your slot where you want to take this. Make I just say one thing. Whoever is speaking, sorry, I can't remember. Chumabi.
You know, this my son man, they convince people. Now, officials out.
Officials out. Okay.
Oh,
Make a
Now me they talk.
make a just quickly. I understand what you are saying. That we can present what we work to the INEC and say this will work, therefore adopt this. It is simple. Now telling you that you still are not getting is INEC is at the discretion of telling you that that thing you brought, oh, what a brilliant, fantastic idea. Yeah, it will work. You know what? Bring it. Everybody, this is what we're going to use now. Can you see how simple and how fantastic it is? Everybody say, yeah, this is good. Oh, we're going to adopt this. Yes, that's what we're going to adopt. Yeah, so tomorrow, election is tomorrow. We're going to adopt this beautiful template that the people have given us. I am saying that the law as it is currently constituted allows INEC to then wake up on the morning of the election and say, no, we're not doing it, we're using paper. And there's nothing any one of us can do about that. That's the point I'm trying to.
Which is why we are having reform that Randy is going for. Which is
now,
okay.
Hold on. So now, what we need to do, even before we get to the issuing templates and designing templates and all of that, which again is illegal, but we'll talk about that later. Before we get to that, what we need to do is take care of all those lacuna, all those loopholes that can be used against us. We need to take care of it to a reasonable extent from the NAS, from the National Assembly. Once we take care of those, then we can then come back. And we're saying that once that is taken care of, what INEC has at the moment does not need any other templates, does not need any improvement. What INEC has at the moment is good enough. It is very, very good. It is good enough. The process they have is good enough. We don't need to do anything. We just need to go back to NAS and take care of the loopholes that allows them to circumvent their own reform, their own regulations. Because at the moment they can. Okay? Digital voting and all of that, they can circumvent all of that. We need to go back to NAS and make laws that says you cannot circumvent it. That is what we need to do, and that is what the process at the moment is from the people. That is what we require for now.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let me even ask. Sorry. This the retweet we they put them for violence. Go. We need to be detailed though. We need to know what we are doing. Jara, you see, that question you asked now is what prompted me to even think this, because we are all supporting Peter now. What if Peter they go there to talk, they make Tinubu do fourth make it on election day, maybe they just by 12 a.m. they must announce Tinubu as president. And we don't support the guy. Oh God, we did mess up. Please, does anybody have
Before greatest, okay, I don't know if Ladi would let greatest go before. Greatest, okay. Are you there?
No.
You have the document.
Lati
came before
wait,
greatest.
don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Lati came before greatest.
All right, Ladi, good afternoon. Happy New Year to you. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Jagu Jagri. Good afternoon, Great Jara, non-conformist, and everybody else, your obedient Chuma. Yes, I am very concerned with the direction the obedience are going, which is everywhere but nowhere. We seem a bit rudderless. We seem a bit non-directional. We're not focused. We seem to be following headlines. It's very distracting. And yes, we need to tackle issue by issue, but all together as a body, I don't feel that we're doing what we should be doing. Okay. So with the way things are now, we can see that Nigeria is heading towards a one-party state. Everybody is moving over to APC and they're preparing for 2027. Okay, my problem, my concern with that is that, okay, if they are doing this, so what grounds do we have? How are we preparing? Because there are two prongs to this. There are two ways for me that we can deal with this. We can start focusing on grassroots if we are really wanting to do this 2027. We have to start focusing on things like grassroots, do our grassroots networks, all the polling units, people, all the whatever it is we need, even candidates. We haven't even screened candidates. So if we want Peter Obi to get in there, so is he going to work alone? We don't have any candidates that we're talking about, that they should start tackling issues, start acting as opposition. Those are the things that I would be hoping that if we really want to face 2027, that's what we should be talking about. Those are the kinds of things we should be looking at. But when it comes to this 2027, I have my concerns. I honestly have very big concerns because, we're talking about reform. Did we not have reform in 2020, in 2023? Did we not get it? Did they not do as they pleased? They did as they pleased. They took parts of the Constitution and interpreted it in a way that nobody would have thought of. Honest to God, that is my fear. So why are we waiting to 2027? Is what I'm going to ask. Why are we waiting to 2027? Is it that we want to go through the process again and then there is a red line there? Somebody please let me understand, because if they have done, if we pushed, we got the BVAS, we got IREV, we got voting cards, we got registration, we got those things. We got the reforms into law. And even before it was signed off, the Senate president was saying something about, there was a word that he kept using. I can't remember. Was it transmit or transfer? It was something like that. He focused on that. And this is us, we're jubilating that we got what we wanted. They can subvert the will of the people when they please. Look, for people to say, we need to get people to understand grassroots and stuff. Did Peter Obi win the 2023 election? Yes, he did. What does that tell you? The people, they got the program. They understood their job and they did it. So what is it they did not understand? That they want good government, that they want good schools, that they want transparency in government, that they want people to be in position of power based on merit, not by affiliation, not by association. Is that what they didn't get? Is there something they misunderstood? Or did we brainwash them and they just went like zombies to the polling stations? They got the agenda, they got the program and they did their job. That was the will of the people subverted. Willfully. And we kept quiet. I totally understand, but seriously, for me, it's like an indication of how much we value ourselves. You get? For me, it's how we value ourselves. Like somebody does this to you and you just keep quiet and walk away. Heaven is not up in the sky, Heaven and hell are here on earth. Heaven and hell are here on earth. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If we don't value ourselves, if we don't value what we have, that Oyibo people are manipulating, they've been manipulating and think about it. For over 60 years, Oyibo people pretended like they've given us our independence, but they've still been in our business. And we don't understand from that our worth, what we have, why they want it so bad, how we are the ones maintaining them. If we don't take that and put it in our body and value and revalue ourselves, I don't know how we're going to get out of this. I don't know. I just hope that, okay, we push this to 2027 and then there is a red line. There has to be a red line. We have to have that in ourselves. I don't know who is going to bell the cat. I don't know how this is. Look, for me personally, I'm going to say it out here. I don't want 2027. I just want it cut short. People voted Peter Obi. My dream would be for Peter Obi to be administrator, some civil administrator or something. I mean, what has elections done for us in Africa, for God's sakes? It has only been a tool for the Oyibo people to come and manipulate things. And we're here. The rules are only for the small people. Realize that. Rules are only for the small people. They break the laws. For anybody that is a professional, look in your professional. As an accountant, you look at it, people have been swindling big companies. Exxon went down. Arthur Anderson itself went down. They did an audit. And what happened? They covered up all the corruption that was going on. But we must pass exams. We must do this. We must do that. We must. But they can do what they want. And they got away with it. Who went to prison? The big banks that are doing all the mago with all our money and everything, they go down and they get bailed out. Who has gone to prison? So the rules are for the small people. But this time, we followed the rules. We voted, or I didn't vote. My people voted. They made their voice clear. So if they don't want to listen to us, we should make them listen to them. That's my stance. Thank you very much for listening. I yield the mic.
Yeah, Ladi, thank you very much. But not confirming, thank you. Thank you. I see there is a common slang, a popular slang on the street of Lagos. They will say, "Oh, baby, David." It means that you're bringing completely a different dimension to the conversation that we aren't even currently looking at on this space, which is, how much is that hunger catching us? Make I speak our common English. How much is that hunger catching us so much that we can suffer it till 2017? I mean, till 2027, I beg your pardon. That's what Ladi is saying. And Ladi, to you this question, and to everyone on the speaker section, and even on the listener section, what would you rather, how would you rather we go about it? If not through.
Please, guys, excuse me for a minute. I'll be back.
All right. If not requesting and demanding for reforms and following this through as a people, down through the process. Ask the question. I don't want to, go to the other side of this my question so that I don't lead on. But let me just, leave it there. Maybe we'll set this aside and then engage in the conversation that we paused. We want to get the data with regards to our Peter's reform document. Greatest, are you there now?
Yeah, Jago, I'm here. Sorry, I'm just on my lunch break. So, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Jargon for the space. No, Mr. Nonconformist, it's been long ago. I've seen you on spaces. And to everybody, speaker, listener. Um, Interesting conversation. So I requested when everybody was talking about electoral reform. So just to give you a little bit of idea what Randy is pushing. So if you go on his page, you basically find the two agenda that falls under electoral reforms, because I think it was Prince Savior had him on one of his space, which was interesting. I think he spoke for about 3 hours or so. So basically, what he's proposing was he's going across two fronts. So he wants direct transfer of results. And the second thing he's pushing for is real time results. So let's see what is going on real time. And that manual transmission or whatever, he's saying it needs to be electronic transmission because you asked him that question and it's on his page. So those are the two things he's actually pushing for. So, on this whole electoral reform is a very broad term, and I agree. I think it was Jared that was saying that. Look, every Nigerian electoral laws are okay, in my own opinion. What we have a problem is we just have a rogue electoral, body, which is INEC. So most of our electoral issues we can basically fix if we have the right guidelines and INEC adheres to its own guidelines. Because it's like you're playing a game of football and halfway through the game, the referee changes to say handball is no longer a foul, is allowed. So that's basically what INEC is doing. They see the rules of the game and they change it. And sometimes they don't even adhere to their own rules. So I think this is where we need to force them and then have an understanding to say, look, we need this and that amended in your guidelines, and you have to follow those guidelines. So one of those I need to point out to you, before even INEC announces the results, there are provisions in the law that says, look, INEC, in their own guideline, that INEC has up to 7 days to verify every single results to make sure they are legit before they announce those results. But INEC don't follow that guideline. You can clearly see in some polling units that there are more votes than accredited voters. And the law clearly states that, look, if you're not accredited, you cannot vote. So that's just one of so many. The second thing we need to look at that I also mentioned to him was, you see, that 176,000, I think, yeah, 176,000 polling units. I said to him, look, we need to slash that number down. Because now, to even run for public office, do you know what it means to get 176,000 people in every single polling unit? I'm not sure my lineage were up to 176,000. So for you to be able to pull that amount of people, you need to have that deep pocket because you're going to pay them at the end of the day. And I was saying to Randy, like, let's look at South Africa, for example. South Africa did an election. Almost 16 million people voted in South Africa's election, and they only needed 23,000 polling units. So the smaller the polling units are, the more better it is for you to be able to man and then police those polling units. And just think of a situation where, let's say, we only have 20,000 polling units in Nigeria, maybe 30 or 40,000. There will be more people congregating in those polling units, and it will be very hard. Let's say 1,000 people are in a polling unit to vote. It will be very hard for these thugs to just come and disrupt everything. South Africa, with 23,000 polling units, they had 16.2 million people voting. While Nigeria, on the other hand, which is like literally 6 million apart from 17 to 23, yeah, about 6 million, we use 176,000 for just 23 million votes, which is not too far from South Africa. And I said to him, look at America. America dealt with 156 million votes in their last election, and America only had 95,000 polling units. So that polling units, we really need to look at that effectively and try as much as possible to shrink those numbers. And I mentioned another thing to Randy. I said, look, we need to go back and then study how South Africa does their elections and learn from their process. So South Africa does not have a IREV. No, they don't have IREV, but they have a similar, procedure like IREV. So what does South Africa do? South Africa, as we have INEC, they have IEC, which is the Independent Electoral Commission that does the elections. So once everybody have finished casting their votes, they count these votes, manually at the polling units. You say, okay, these are the votes. Now, the results from those polling units is now electronically transferred to the 9 provinces or municipal, that's what they call them, provincial areas, just like the regions. So when the votes gets there, each political party has a representative. You have the media is there and you have the election observers. So what the parties are doing is speaking to their people in the polling units and just confirm that what they are getting from that polling unit tallies with what the people on ground they have. So once that verification is then done, the results is now sent to the central server, central units. And in that central unit, they also have the political parties are there, election observers are there, and whatever any observers you want to have, the news media, everybody, they are there. So they start electronically collating those results and counting the results. And they start feeding those results in real time to those 9 provinces. There's a big screen. Everybody is seeing the tabulation the way it is coming. Now the order it happens the other way around in Nigeria, where you count the votes manually at the polling units. They now transfer the votes to the ward coalition level. So somebody is using pen and paper to add results, and they now move that to LGA state level and then national level. Do you know with a simple Excel spreadsheet, once those results come in, Excel can literally filter those results and tell you what ward, what local government, what states. That could be done at the national level. I think they make this whole process to give them more than enough time to be able to pad those results and inflate numbers. And I said to him, one of my suggestions is as soon as the results is done at the local level, pass it on to the regional level for people to verify the number on ground. They'll be giving the reports that look, this polling unit is cancelled. So that result you set that aside, that cannot go into the central ports. They are speaking to each other. The news media is there covering. So there's no mago or something happened. In South Africa, they have a phone app, they have a desktop app, and they follow that process until the results is announced. Now look at what they're doing currently at the National Assembly, which I asked Randy, is like, you're aware. He knows basically that INEC is basically doing another electoral reform. Is on their page. Just go onto INEC page, you will find the electoral reform INEC is doing. So basically, INEC has, I think it's 5, but from the top of my head, I think I can mention 4. So one of the reforms INEC wants to do is they want a legal interpretation, like the legislative interpretation of transfer. So this whole transfer, direct transfer, electronic transfer, manual transfer, INEC is not even concerned about doing the right thing. INEC wants somebody to explain to them the legality of what transfer means. So that's the argument that's going on. The second thing INEC wants to do in this their whole electoral reform, they want to bring diaspora votes in. So that's I know a lot of people will be happy with that diaspora voting. That's part of the amendments they're pursuing. Another amendment they are pursuing as well is to let slips to replace PVCs. So I believe that's number 3, and I think number 4 is inclusive voting to give more political office to women and disabled people. I applaud that. But you see, none of the real issues are being tackled. And Randy was like, when he wanted to do this, and he approached Reti Kinigbe, and he said, oh, look at the 2 things where a lot of Nigerians are speaking about: real-time transmission and direct transfer. And she was like, she doesn't want her name to be in that document. It was later on he found out that Reti Kinigbe is sitting in the committee that's working on this electoral reform with INEC. So that really tells you where this whole thing is going. So I believe coalition alone is not the solution, towards 2027. It will enhance our chances, and electoral reform as well will boost our chances. So if we can fight on those two fronts, electoral reform will give the coalition, if there's ever a coalition, a fighting chance. And if you have a coalition, you now ensure you have enough boots on ground to be able to defend your votes from the south all the way up to the north, because I believe that was one of PO's Achilles heel in the last elections. We were able to defend in the south, and I think all the way up to the middle belt was where things started getting wrong, and then up to the northwest and the northeast. And to explain it in the middle belt for people to understand, basically in the middle belt you have, I think, 40-50 splits, Christian against Muslim. So the Muslims are slightly higher than the Christians. So looking at those results, I can beat my chest and say 2 out of 3 times Christians would vote for POB, Peter Obi, compared to a Muslim ticket or article. Yeah, that's just religious sentiments. 2 out of 3 times. And basically the results INEC basically gave us is that two ways I can interpret it, seeing that PO got 1.4 million and Tinubu won the North Central, was that the Christians didn't come out to vote, is the first scenario, or more Christians voted for a Muslim ticket than a PO who is a Christian. So that's just my interpretation. So thank you very much, Jaguar. I'll leave you here so others can comment. Thank you for giving me the time.
On this, your final note, it's like a snitch. Like people are practically and literally running on this scenario that the middle belters and people from southern Kaduna voted for Tinubu. Many people are running on this erroneous belief that they analyzed via INEC giving results. But yeah, thank you, greatest, for that analysis. But well, once I was going to add, but then you did all the talking because when you were giving the example of South Africa, the only thing I was seeing in all of that is the people government participation in their process and everybody keenly excuse me keenly got involved and down from the beginning all through the end of the process went through it together, whichever platform they voted from. Yeah, so thank you very much again, greatest. We have Laddie's and up. Let's have Laddie's and up. Thank you again, guys, for staying and hanging with us on the space. Over to you, Laddie.
Thank you very much, Jagu Jagu. I wanted to address the topic of the, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to do it a bit justice because it's also a pain point for me. Religion and ethnicity. These are being weaponized. Nobody is talking about all these NGOs, all these journalists that are sponsored, that are, and all the people on Twitter that are, pushing this narrative. They're just tools that are used to distract Nigerians. It's very weaponized because normally when I'm in Nigeria, honestly, nobody does any of this bigotry. Everybody is so lovely. Everybody's going about their business. So all this is just to drive a narrative. And honestly, it works, which is very sad. When they do that, they distract us from the fact that we are being robbed, that we are being governed really badly, that the politicians are not doing what they're supposed to do. They distract us from the common enemy. That's what it does. And Nigerians keep falling for this trick, which is really, really painful to watch. And I don't know how we're going to work on that, but it is something that I think really, really needs to be tackled. And I think the sooner we start that, the better, because it will give us the cohesion to focus on what needs to be done. because if we keep allowing this narrative to continue, you know, David Hundenyi has said it. What is happening in Nigeria is not only down to Nigeria, is more down to outsiders. They want to smash Nigeria and grab, and they're using these divisions to drive Nigerians apart. And if we don't see it, and that's why I keep saying, I keep going back to valuing ourselves and realizing that we are so rich. And that is why these problems are happening. The terrorism in the north, the bigotry, the division, it is all weaponized. It is weaponized. And somehow, as obedience, I think we are duty bound to do something. And we should stop focusing on, seriously, I'm not going to say we should stop focusing, but honestly, it's a serious task. And I think it is on us to try and do something about it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Ladi. I was going to ask the other time, how would you rather we go about it outside the channels of the channels that we have, officially, legally, uh, 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 electoral reforms and the voting process? How would you rather we go about it?
I'll be honest, if we're going to start with, I'm not very well versed in the laws and voting. I just know that we had the IREP, we had the voting cards, we had BVAS. All of those were supposed to work, but they were subverted. All I'm saying that if we're going to work towards the 2027 elections, then we should be doing the work that it entails. Number one, get our grassroots going again, get our network grassroots going like we did state by state. We start looking at candidates that are going to be in the different positions so that they start talking. It's like grooming them. When we find the candidates, we're kind of like common spaces, they will talk and groom them. We get our points across, what we want them to focus on, how they're going to be campaigning outside when they go, so that they're coherent, so that they're succinct, they're to the point, they can grab the people's attention. And those people will know that person is good. We need to find really good candidates in every single position, and it takes time. It takes time. So for me, if we want to do that 2027, that's where our energy needs to go. I don't know about the reforms, because for me, the reforms were done. We got reforms last time. We will get reforms again if that's what we want. Give them, let them get the reforms. Shebi, now we get up. Now we get yam, now we get knife. That's the way I see it. I'm sorry I'm being pessimistic, but there's nothing in history that is giving me hope. So for me, the way I see it is that legally, we go through the process of voting. We do all the prep before that, do everything that we can, position all our people, try and grab as much live results as we can. And if it doesn't come out the way people voted, then we take it to the streets. If that's the way we want to push it, that's the legal way. And to be honest, protesting and kicking Tinubu out is not illegal either. It's the will of the people. Who are they governing? If they're not doing it right, do we not have a right to say we don't want? So it is still not illegal. Both ways are legal to achieve the goal. Thank you. I yield the mic.
Sorry,
Okay,
Jaguar.
Ladi.
Sorry, Jaguar. I forgot to mention one important component of this whole electoral reform, whichever name, is the contractors. I keep shouting this is a very low hanging fruit. The ballot paper contracts, it is an APC loyalist that has that contract. So I think her name is Binadi or so. That's her name. That should have never been allowed to happen. Activate technology that does the PVCs and the beavers, I believe, is another APC loyalist. The director, Musa, is also known as 313. After the 2015 elections, he ran under the APC platform. A senator, he won. And then he sat on Tinubu's PCC team, I think as the head of or director of special duties. Now, that should have never been happened. That should have never been allowed to happen. You need to strip the ruling party APC. No APC loyalists should have that contract of conducting elections. So this is another low-hanging fruit that we can pursue, that we can get outcome, because whoever is printing the ballot paper has that contract. You know what's going to happen. We've seen PVCs and being stuffed down the drain. So these are very low hanging fruits. I'm not saying it's going to change the outcome, but it enhances our chances of winning come 2027. So thanks very much, Sharon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great test. Yeah, I remember we discussed it. Oh no, time don't go. We discussed it a long time ago about, and that was when it came up. I mean, this guy's issue came up. This Wiki's cousin, which one again came up at that time. Yeah, so it's all right. Ladi, I understand you completely, and I get your point, and I share your sentiment because we need to be ready and we need to be intentional about whatever we're going to do post election in 2027. And that's fact. We need to be started ready. You could unequivocally with our decision with post 2027 election. Let me emphasize it like that. So thank you very much. Are motivated enough to involve themselves in the process. I have said it, this is going to be talked about the fourth time, that if you are not involved, if you do not engage in governance, which the electoral process is one of the elements, these politicians would fill the vacuum with their narratives and they will take the day from you. Your presence alone incapacitates, them 90%. I'm telling you, I witnessed it in my polling in two of my polling units two polling units in my area during that election. I witnessed it because I took a tour of the polling units. I witnessed it. The turnout alone rendered them. I saw the non-state actors they brought because I know some in my own area. And they were incapacitated. They just hung around because of the overwhelming turnout to vote. I saw that. Nobody can preach against that to me anymore. If we see these things, we need to encourage and do what Eti is talking about. This grassroots political education. I've been talking about it for long. Let the people be equipped politically. They've taken this information from the people, political information, socio-political information, education. So the people are just left at the mercy of whoever can buy. Let me give the mic. We'll be wrapping up by 4. Please indulge me. Sound mic, we have your hand up. We'll be wrapping up by 4. But let me say this: that look, the demography. I have been saying it. Demography that is targeted by these old politicians who want Nigeria to remain as it were. As it is. Is the demography of those that do not see integrity as a commodity they need to purchase. It is about their stomach because all they know is survival. That's the demography they target. And that's the demography that Eti is talking about. That's the demography that we need to take this political education to, so that they can understand distinctively why they suffer. why their government is not working for them, why only the few who possibly are using them are the ones taking all of the juice. So we'll wrap up with sound mind, and then we call it a day.
All right, thank you, Jago Jago. You see, you see, the past election, I was fully involved. In fact, I learned a whole lot of things, shuttling from Lagos to Abuja, all that. There is a reason why I I suggest that we ourselves, but as in we, the people, Nigerians, now that we are talking about electoral reform, we should try to see if we can provide a better solution to INEC. There is a reason why I said that. We can build a digital voter system that can be foreseen by third party, but not just the INEC. There is this digital system that Nigerians can build that will restrict even the INEC from rigging any election. We will strip them from that right of rigging the election, rigging our vote. We will by ourselves. And that is why I said I'm very, very happy that INEC were able to adopt digital voting system, which has given us the hands, a better
Sound mind. We lost
yeah,
you.
sorry, Jerry, I got a call. So
Yeah, just wrap up about 2 minutes so that I can get the
Thank you
feedback
very
from non-conformists before we.
sorry, you can wrap up. I'm having calls.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you for coming. Right. Yeah, non-conformists. Any feedback before we call it?
Yeah, yeah. Jagu Jagu, nice space. Ladi, thank you so much. Your submission was very insightful, and I learned a lot. I thank everybody for coming. Good thing we're having these conversations. Um, I know it seemed like many people have. At the end of the day, we'll not always be in election mode. Now, Tinubu self don't make us do election mode 2 years before the elections proper. So, if we leave that guy, he doesn't even mind packing back to Bodilon to go and start campaigning and all of that. So it's good we're having these conversations. It's nice to connect with many people again. Please let's keep talking about these things, the coalition, the reforms, and all of that. And for those who don't like my rhetorics online, I bet they could know vex. These people, if we leave them, they will run riots. So some people have to face them one way or another. And some of us have, decided that that's what we want to do. So it's good to, like I said, have this conversation. We've learned a couple of things. Jago, whenever you have your space, please just send me a link, and provided I'm home or I can talk, we can have this conversation. And thank you very much, and good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much, non-conformists. Let me appreciate guys who joined the space and stayed. Ladi, thank you for coming and thank you for joining to speak on the space and on the topic. Joe Obedient, my brother, I salute you. Thank you for hanging in still even after speaking. My brother Fatai, I don't see you since, for staying by, all of these things. Our talk no cheap, we'll take it long. My sister, Dr. Salatu, I greet you. Barista, greatest, my brother. Thank you for the data you always bring. It clarifies issues succinctly and wouldn't need us to, do back and forth anymore on any other any other topic for discussion sometimes. Thank you again, greatest. Aaron, Unity, Gregory, everybody who came on the space. I can't really mention all of you by name, but thank you very much. Despite the weakened bone and everything, that admit will say I am always high on the people, and it's always like that for me. I'm not your rep, but I am for the streets when the people request, is being championed. Thank you very much, everybody. And I say, have a good day.